Good morning and welcome to this meeting of the Transportation Planning Organization for Wednesday, December 14th. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Cohen.
Here.
Commissioner Kemp. Here. Commissioner Wastel. Here. Commissioner Myers.
Here.
Commissioner Owen.
Here.
Councilmember Maniscalco.
Here.
Councilmember Citro.
Here.
Councilmember Hurtak.
Here.
Mayor Ross.
Here.
Mayor Kilton.
Here.
Joe Lopano.
Here.
Adelie LeGrand.
Here.
Greg Slater.
Here.
Charles Klug.
Here.
Planning Commissioner Soraya. Did I pronounce that correctly? Okay. And Board Member Vaughn.
Here online.
Chair, we do have an in-person quorum. Would you please call for a vote of consent for remote participation?
We have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Commissioner Myers. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you very much. We now have approved remote member participation. Can we please have a motion for approval of the minutes of the October 12th, 2022 board meeting? We have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Commissioner Myers. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you very much. Before we start, a few announcements. Hemant Saria is our new member from the Planning Commission. I don't believe he's here yet, but we'll welcome him when he is. And we also welcome this morning our two new members from the Hillsborough Board of County Commissioners, Councilman Michael Owen and Councilman Joshua Wastel. So good morning and welcome to both of you. We are going to now have a special presentation, and Beth Alden will lead us through that.
Good morning, Beth Alden, your Executive Director, and very pleased this morning that we can recognize the work of two people in our community who have been championing safe streets, working towards Vision Zero, the vision of zero deaths and serious injuries on our roads. Our two recipients this year received their awards at the Regional Gulf Coast Safe Street Summit that we work with our neighbor MPOs to convene. That was held in November, but we'd really like to bring them up and share their work with you. So first, I'd like to invite Cindy Stewart to come up and say a few words. Ms. Stewart was gracious enough to nominate our award recipient for the Vision Zero Hero Award.
Thank you, Ms. Horney. Good morning.
Good morning.
It was funny, I walked in here and someone asked me if I was rejoining this board, and I said, oh, I miss them, but I'm not sure I want to do that work again. But when I was here and I did this work, one of the things that the chair allowed me to do was create a committee that focused solely on school transportation. The safety of our children and how they get to school, how they're transported, how they commute, how they walk, was very important to this community. We did a lot of great work in those 4 years. Lisa Silva, who's here, and I worked closely with the school board, with the city, and with the county to make improvements and to make sure that, again, we were focused on children and not just on the transportation, but how they made it back and forth to school. Emily Hinsdale was one of those people who stood out in the community as providing another opportunity and a way for students to get back and forth to school, little known as walking to school. Long ago, all children used to walk to school, and in today's environment, that's just not possible. The area in which she actually walks children to school through her school safety initiative, Sidewalk Stompers, that she started, was really interesting. And I remember going out one day and spending a morning walking with these children to school and the obstacles that they were facing, crossing very busy roads, and her innovative ways in which she helped them to navigate that, both them and their parents, rewarding children for actually not getting in a car and driving with their parents, but walking. So it was my honor when I was asked to nominate her for this award. It's well-deserved. She is the president and founding member of the award-winning Florida nonprofit Sidewalk Stompers Incorporated, a walk-to-school program and advocacy organization. Sidewalk Stompers programs are designed to increase student health, mental wellness, and community connections, and road safety. It envisions a new generation engaged in active transportation, growing up healthier and children better invested in their community. Sidewalk Stompers offers an incentive-based program to encourage participation. Founding school, Roosevelt Elementary, which if you know where Roosevelt is, you know some of the challenges that surround that school in getting children there. Roosevelt was the first school in Hillsborough County, and she now works with 10 schools on this program. To support these engaged programs, Sidewalk Stompers also advocates for safer infrastructure around schools and has been successful in obtaining all new stops, new crosswalks, crossing guards, updated city codes, governing sidewalk installation, as well as piloting innovation road designs as partner schools. Emily has served as an advisor on the Transportation Planning Organization School Transportation Working Group and the Hillsborough County Safe Routes to School Advisory Committee. She's a member of the TPO's Livable Roadways Committee and participates in the Florida Department of Transportation's District 7 Community Traffic Safety Team. So with that, I would like to ask Emily to come up and congratulate her on a very well-deserved recognition from this organization.
And if I could ask our Livable Roadways Committee Chair to come up as well to take a photograph with us. The Livable Roadways Committee was responsible for reviewing the nominations for this year and selecting the award recipients. Thank you, Councilman. Yes.
Emily, I just want to offer you my congratulations on the award. I live in the Roosevelt School District and have participated in a number of Sidewalk Stompers events, and they are memorable and very, very effective. And I congratulate you on the award.
And our second award this morning is what we call a Bob the Builder Award. And so this, in particular, recognizes people who have championed actual construction to change the character of our roads, to make them safer. And this year, the committee selected Bob Fry, Director of Innovation and Planning at the Tampa Hillsborough Expressway Authority. The Selman Green, Bob, would you like to come up? The Selman Greenway was Bob's first project with Thea. From the inception of a 1.9-mile bare-bones trail, Bob and his team have spearheaded the growth and beautification of this urban spine with safety-conscious designs and planning. Over the last 6 years, Bob has implemented and deployed plans for 5 pocket parks. The Greenway will be expanding with a more developed plaza, connections, and wayfinding tools with an upcoming project thanks to Bob's focus on multimodal travel solutions. Meridian Avenue is another example of design being deployed in a community-minded approach. Since Thea's roadway and street side improvements, the avenue has become a corridor of growth and has been instrumental in enhancing the Channelside neighborhood. Residents and visitors can enjoy high-visibility crosswalks, pedestrian refuge islands, raised medians with landscaping, a 15-foot shared-use path, and enhanced pedestrian lighting for safer evening walks to neighborhood businesses and parks. Under Bob's leadership, every THEA project has the direction to go above and beyond the standard guidelines for walkability and pedestrian safety. And I'd also like to invite CEO Greg Slater of THEA to say a few words if he would like.
Thank you. First, I want to congratulate Bob and thank this board for recognizing Bob and his amazing work. Bob's a pretty special case in this business. He's a planner that focuses on implementation. And so you don't see that everywhere. And Bob is really focused on getting things done. When I came in, so about less than a year ago, about this time, I was had just accepted this job and was planning my move. I believe at that point I found the last apartment available in downtown Tampa and learned very quickly that shade is a commodity as I was walking to work. And Bob is someone that really has championed that space under our expressway to make it better for the community. And when I came in, I challenged our team to continue to focus on the community first and foremost in everything that we do. And Bob continues to rise to that challenge. So I want to thank this board for recognizing Bob and his amazing work, and congratulate Bob for
And could I ask our Livable Roadways Chair to come back up for the photograph? And thank you again, Livable Roadways Committee, for reviewing our applications. Okay, thank you so much, and congratulations to the award recipients.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, and congratulations to the awards winners. We do have public comment this morning, 30 minutes total with up to 3 minutes per speaker. Staff will unmute you when the chair recognizes you as needed. The chair may allow for additional time. I believe we have 3 people signed up this morning for public comment. The first is Christopher Hatton, followed by Christina Costa and Chris Vella, and I'll check to see if there are any others. But good morning, Mr. Hatton, if you're there.
I don't see a Christopher Hatton on the line.
Okay, is Miss Christina Costa there?
I don't see a Christina Costa on the line.
And what about Chris Vella?
I do not see a Chris Vella on the line as well.
Do we have had any reason to believe that there's anybody else out there that's signed up for public comment?
Chair, I checked the sign-in sheet in the back, and there's nobody in person.
All right. Well, it's a little strange for all 3 of them to have dropped off, so perhaps we should just investigate whether or not they were attempting to get through and having difficulty. But we will move on at this point to committee reports and advance comments. I know that Bill Roberts is here, our CAC chair, and I believe he's going to give the first report.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Welcome to new members of the TPO board. I'm Bill Roberts. I chair your Citizens Advisory Committee, and I'm pleased to bring you this report of our most recent meeting. The CAC met on December the 7th. We did not have a quorum, so several action items were deferred until our January meeting. But we did hear a high injury report from Christina Costa, and that may be one of the items that she would like to speak if she's able to get through on public comment this morning. We reviewed several items, and this was a meeting that is held annually where the CAC members meet with the TAC members, kind of a holiday session. And the TAC did have a quorum, and so the action items that came before us as a joint committee were acted upon by the TAC, but no action was taken by your Citizens Advisory Committee. Interestingly, we had more members attend virtually in this meeting than we did in person, which was kind of an anomaly. But the action items that came to us that we did review included a school transportation safety study. We reviewed a TIP amendment that has to do primarily with right-of-way for the West Shore interchange brought to us by FDOT. And we reviewed a freight resilience study that was also brought to us. These items were all acted upon by the TAC. The committee heard a status report on the HART transit study, and I'm sure that's an item that you'll be hearing more about. The committee had a good discussion about the proposed bylaws to the CAC committee activity. There was a proposal put forth. The committee had some concerns about some of that. You'll receive a status report on it, and depending on the discussion that's held here today, that this item may come back before the CAC at our January meeting. And finally, we have our next meeting on January the 4th. As you may note from the changes in our bylaws, the CAC has agreed to convene its meetings at 6 p.m. rather than 9 a.m. And this is intended to afford a greater opportunity for public participation and to encourage expansion of the CAC, which you'll hear later in this meeting may have an expansion of up to 20 members. So that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'll be happy to take any questions if there are some.
Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Roberts? Okay,
Thank you very much.
Bill, thank you very much for that report. And I believe that next we are going to hear from Davita Franklin from the TPO staff. Good morning.
Good morning. Here is your summary of committee reports and public comments. So pertaining to today's action items, for the Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP, amendments for the Polk Street rail crossings and West Shore interchange major reconstruction, that was approved by the Technical Advisory Committee. And for the freight resilience and supply chain study, as you heard before, there were some questions by the Citizens Advisory Committee. The School Transportation Safety Study was approved by the Livable Roadways Committee, Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and the Technical Advisory Committee. And pertaining to your consent agenda, the 2023 meeting calendar was approved by the Technical Advisory Committee and the Livable Roadways Committee. The Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee did approve it after removing their December meeting. For your summary of public comments, these are comments that were received through email and social media. You did receive these comments in your board folder, except for two that I will tell you about in a moment. So Sidewalk Stompers thank the TPO for choosing President and founder Emily Hinsdale for the Vision Zero Hero Award at the 2022 Gulf Coast Safe Street Summit. And then for the West Shore Interchange Reconstruction Project, we did have 3 commenters who opposed that project. Chris Vela did state that a better alternative for the West Shore Interchange Reconstruction Project is a turbo roundabout and also the end of highway expansion. For the 2 comments that I mentioned to you that came in, these came in after the 5 p.m. cutoff time. But they did come in yesterday. These are regarding the Fowler Avenue Vision Study. So Chris Vela suggests that efforts focus on other alternatives for pedestrian use, and Dave Coleman thinks that Fletcher Avenue from Nebraska Avenue to USF should be a model for all secondary roads, including the 35-mile-per-hour speed limit. So that concludes my report. And again, the attachments and the comments referenced by the public commenters are included in the email that Cheryl Wilkening sent to you yesterday evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments from board members? All right, thank you. All right, we are now moving on to the consent agenda. Can we please have a motion for approval? We have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Councilman Citro. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you very much. All right, we're going to move on now to the TPO officer election. I want to thank everyone for, I've served as chair for 2 years. We have a term limit on that position. And thank you, Commissioner Kemp, for having suggested that. I'm glad that I voted for it, and I'm glad that it passed. And I look forward to continuing to serve on this board under new leadership. So, Mr. Clark.
Good morning, board members. For new members, I'm Cameron Clark. I'm with the County Attorney's Office. I serve as counsel for the MPO. So we're going to start by electing first the TPO chair and then the TPO vice chair, and then we're going to get into a discussion regarding standing committee appointments. So regarding nominations for chair, I will ask for nominations. I'll continue to ask for them until no more are received. Then I will ask for a vote on nominations on the order they were received. No seconds are required for nominations. So first, may I have a nomination for TPO chair? Yes.
I'd like to nominate Mayor Ross.
All right, Mayor Ross is nominated. Are there any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Myers.
Commissioner Myers is nominated. Thank you. Are there any other nominations? All right. Since we have 2 nominations, just to make this organized, I'm going to ask the clerk to do a roll call vote, beginning with, and actually to do this, I think, cleanly, perhaps as your name is read, please state either Mayor Ross's name or Commissioner Myers' name, so we don't have to do this twice, potentially. So if the clerk, when she is ready, go ahead and begin.
Commissioner Cohen?
Myers.
Commissioner Kemp?
Myers.
Commissioner Wastel?
Ross.
Commissioner Myers?
Myers.
Commissioner Owen?
Mayor Ross.
Councilmember Maniscalco?
Commissioner Myers.
Councilmember Cedro?
Mayor Ross.
Councilmember Hurtak?
Commissioner Myers.
Mayor Ross?
Ross.
Mayor Kilton?
Mayor Ross.
Joe Lopano?
Myers.
Adelie LeGrand?
Myers.
Greg Slater?
Mayor Ross.
Charles Klug?
Mayor Ross.
Planning Commissioner Soraya?
Myers.
Board Member Vaughn?
Myers.
I do have a 9-7 in favor of Commissioner Myers.
All right. Thank you. So Commissioner Myers is elected chair. Congratulations, Commissioner.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now I would ask for nominations for the position of vice chair. Do I have any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Mayor Ross.
Mayor Ross is nominated. Are there any other nominations? Seeing no other nominations, Mayor Ross is vice chair. Congratulations, sir. Next on your list is the policy committee, which is typically a 5-member standing committee that meets immediately before the full board meets, typically at 8:30. This meeting is normally at 10 o'clock. So normally policy meetings from 8:30 to around 10. There are presently 3 members who are still on the TPO, Commissioner Kemp, Councilman Maniscalco, and I have Commissioner Cohen presently on the policy committee. Do any of those members, are any of you willing to continue as policy committee? Commissioner Kemp, okay. Commissioner Cohen, would you?
No.
This is for policy committee, yes. So no, okay.
No, I don't want to.
Okay. And finally, Councilman Maniscalco? No. Okay. So that means we need 5 new members for policy committee. Now, typically, we can have volunteers for something like this. If not, the chair ultimately will appoint members if we don't get enough. I'm sorry, Ms. Alden.
Cameron, I'll volunteer.
Mayor Ross, okay.
We do currently have 2 alternate members. We might want to ask them
Oh.
if they would like to serve.
True as
as
well.
full
So
members.
for the alternates are, we have Director Anderson and we have Commissioner Myers as alternates. We can do the full board members first and then we'll want to go to the alternates after we get the full board. So we have Mayor Ross on Policy Committee. Do I have anyone else? Councilman Citro? Okay. Commissioner Myers, you'll be on the full board? Okay. Commissioner, okay. Commissioner Owen is on, and I need one more for the full board. Okay. Wait. We have Mayor Kilton? Who do I have? Who's my full board member? Klug, okay. Charles Klug. Okay, so we have, then I need, since Commissioner Myers is going to be on the full board, I need an alternate for that position, and actually I need 2 alternates because now Director Anderson or Port Authority was an alternate, but now they are a full member, so I need 2 alternates for the Policy Committee. Commissioner Wolstenholme? Okay, anyone else? One more, Kilton, all right. All right, so that's Policy Committee. Next, we have membership to the TMA Leadership Group. Presently on that board, we have Commissioner Kemp and I have Councilman Citro. Commissioner Kemp, do you wish to stay on that board, TMA Leadership Group? Okay. And Councilman Citro? Yes, I do. Okay. So I need one more full member, and then we'll go to alternates. Okay. Hertak. And now I need, okay, so I have as an alternate member Director Lopano. Do you wish to remain as an alternate to TMA Leadership Group? Yes. Okay. And then I have, let's see, I have Director Anderson or Charles Klug. Would you like to remain as an alternate to that? No, thank you. Okay, so I need one more alternate. All right. Okay, and then now I have chair of the Transportation Disadvantage Coordinating Board. Presently is Commissioner Myers. Would you wish to remain in that? Yes. Okay. Now I have chair of the Livable Roadways Committee. Councilman Citro, do you wish to remain? Yes, I do. Okay. And then finally, regarding the MPO Advisory Council, the chair of the MPO is the automatic member to that, but we do need an alternate. I have Director Anderson or Charles Klug as an alternate. Do you wish to remain or have another appointment? Okay. All right. All right, Ms. Alden, I think that's all I had. Is that complete? All right, thank you so much. Thank you, members. I appreciate it.
Thank you. The chair has indicated that she'd like me to just finish the meeting, if that's all right with everyone, just for ease of getting through the agenda. Our next item is the Transportation Improvement Program tip amendments, Polk Street rail crossings, and West Shore Interchange major reconstruction. And we have a presentation on that from Roger Matthey from TPO staff.
Good morning, TPO board members. I'm Roger Matthey, TPO staff.
Good morning.
We have 2 amendments for you today on the Polk Street rail crossing technology and the West Shore Interchange major reconstruction. Next slide. These are the 2 amendments that were requested by FDOT to add funds to the fiscal year 23 through 27 tip of $119,000 for Polk Street and an increase of $71 million of additional funds for right-of-way for the West Shore Interchange. Next slide. For the Polk Street rail crossing technology, it's called radio key down. This will allow the train or CSX operator to activate the flashing signals along Polk Street. CSX will be replacing outdated equipment with the new equipment. Next slide. This slide shows the addition of funds for the fiscal year 23 for $119,000. Next slide. This here is the West Shore Interchange, and there will be no acquisition of right-of-way. Next. Okay, we brought this amendment to you in September of this year. The one on the top of this slide here shows a decrease of funds, bringing the total project amount of $304 million. Now we are bringing it back to you with the additional funding of 19% due to the increase of property values. That would be on the bottom. Next slide, please. And for our public outreach, we published details in our monthly newsletter. We made social media posts, published notice on our website, and posted signs along Polk Street and near the West Shore interchange. Next slide. The committee results. The TAC, there was no quorum in November meeting for Polk Street, passed unanimously in December for the West Shore interchange. CAC had unanimous approval for Polk Street in November meeting and no quorum in December for the West Shore interchange. Next slide. And finally, we are recommending approval of both the TIP amendments for the fiscal year 23 through 27 year TIP. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Any questions, comments from board members? This is a roll call vote, I'm told. So I will ask for a motion if there's no further discussion.
Does this involve the trail around West Shore
No.
at all? How about on Lemon Street, the Sun Trail?
Hi, Commissioner. Johnny Wong, TPO staff. I'm the TIP project manager. So the requested amendment isn't affecting any other aspect of the project. The right-of-way hasn't changed. The $71 million of additional funds isn't to acquire any new right-of-way. It's for the same amount of right-of-way as has previously been approved. The only reason for the request is that property values have increased due to inflation, and so DOT came to us requesting that additional funds to cover the amount.
When we're, Ms. Alden, or I'm not sure.
No, go ahead.
I think that you're asking about a point of information that the board asked for, I think it was 2 or 3 months ago, when we last had a TIP amendment for funding for right-of-way for the West Shore interchange. And we were talking then about the Sun Trail corridor, which is one of the statewide multi-use trail corridors that would pass through the West Shore interchange reconstruction area. DOT has graciously included a multi-use trail as part of the reconstruction of the Howard Franklin Bridge, is working with the city of Tampa on connections over to downtown Tampa. And so our question was, how does that pass through the West Shore interchange area? There is a response from DOT that we received and put into your board agenda packet, I think 2 months ago, last time we met. And that did indicate that there is a very short gap in the trail corridor right now between about where the Veterans comes to south and connects to I-275 and about West Shore Boulevard. So it's a very short gap.
Thank you. I thought I was trying to put this all together, and I thought we had a gap there. What I'd like to do is, at this time, if it's in order to do this, to make a motion to ask FDOT to consider connecting the Sun Trail at that point. As Ms. Alden said, it's a short gap. This is a trail of statewide significance, and we're just asking FDOT to consider, because we have this gap, and this would be a great time to look at that and have that completed in that area. So that's my motion to ask FDOT.
We have a motion in a second, but let's examine this with our parliamentarian for a minute, because it's really separate from the vote on the TIP, which is a roll call vote. Would the maker of the motion be agreeable to just making the two separate from one another?
Yes, I didn't know procedurally where to bring it, but I didn't want to lose it.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. Yeah, so since under state law, a TIP amendment has to be a roll call vote, it's probably a good idea to keep that one separate. You can also do a follow-up.
So let's vote on Commissioner Kemp's motion, since I don't think we had a motion yet on the floor for the TIP amendment. Is there any discussion of, yes, Mayor Ross?
Yes, I'd like to see this brought as an agenda item for a future meeting so that we have some material of maps and stuff. I mean, let's take a look at what we're voting on. This thing, I'm not real clear in my mind exactly what this is, and I don't really like to shoehorn in a vote that we were unexpected and the public hasn't had a chance to look. I mean, this is just last minute. Is this something that is so time sensitive that it can't be delayed until the next meeting and put on the agenda with some backup material?
I'm going to let the maker of the motion respond to that.
Well, and again, the motion is just to ask FDOT to consider. We're not, forcing anything here. We're just making a will. And we have talked about this multiple times in the past. And I know it's difficult to keep track of this, and this does involve this same area. And that's why I raised it at this time. And it's just asking, and we're not saying, FDOT, you must fund this or do this. It's asking FDOT to consider connecting this Sun Trail, this very important little teeny cap that is in this area and that is of statewide significance. I don't know if Ms. Alden, in terms of the timeliness.
Excuse me, Secretary Gwynn and Mr. Lopano, I see you, so I'll come to you next.
Hard to see me down here.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So just for information, we know it's a very important link, and our intent is to link all the trails together. That's why we're putting so much money into it. That one gap is a little complicated because in order to actually construct it right there, we would have to take a business because we would essentially take all the parking. And so we're working with the city on.
We're not hearing any audio.
Is this on? Okay. We're working with the city real close. We've got options. We're working on it. Our intent is to complete that connection. We're not going to have disconnected trail. It's more complicated for that little segment because we would end up taking the whole business. And we think there's some other options, but we're certainly not going to construct trail.
I cannot hear anything virtually.
Unfortunately, I'm told that our virtual listeners cannot hear. For those in the audience.
All right, I think they connected
there we
me
go,
now.
Secretary Gwynn.
Just real quick, we're going to connect it in one way or another. We're working with the city on some options on how to connect it. That particular little gap would require us to take a whole business because we would need all of their parking in order to do it. So we've got other options we're looking at, but we've got some time and we're working on it. So it's not something that we're ignoring or not working on.
I had Mr. Lopano and then Commissioner Owen, I'll come to you. Yes. Oh, okay. Commissioner Owen.
Just real quick, I'm new, I apologize. In the county commission, we say we want to report back. So what the motion itself, is it asking just for them to come back and report to us here? Or is it something that we're going to get some type of status in writing or budget or something to that effect?
My motion was just to, again, consider. It was, and I wonder just, and it was Secretary Gwynn, thank you for explaining that, to what the issues are in there. I don't even know, I don't know whether to ask Secretary Gwynn this, but it doesn't seem like this would be contrary to what you're doing, just kind of encouragement of the the will of this group to see that trail connected. It sounds like that is in keeping with what you're doing, not contrary to that, but just an expression in this group about how we care about the trails and the connectivity of important trails.
Yeah, well, whether you make a motion or not, we're going to do it. So it's up to you.
So.
All right. Well, it sounds to me like this motion really is an expression of support for your ongoing efforts to connect the trail. Is there any other discussion? I think we do have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. If there's no further discussion of it, can we please take, I think we should take a roll call vote, and then we'll take a roll call vote on the TIP amendment.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Kemp?
Yes.
Commissioner Wastel?
No.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Owen?
No.
Councilmember Maniscalco?
Yes.
Councilmember Citro?
Yes.
Councilmember Hurtak?
Yes.
Mayor Ross?
No.
Mayor Kilton?
Yes.
Joe Lopano?
I'm sorry, I have a question. I didn't understand the direction. Are we voting on Commissioner Kemp's motion, or are we voting on a tip amendment?
Commissioner Kemp's motion.
No.
Adelie LeGrand?
Yes.
Greg Slater?
No.
Charles Klug?
No.
Planning Commissioner Soraya?
Yes.
Board Member Vaughn?
Yes.
The motion passes 10-6.
Okay, and then we are on to the tip amendment. Was there any further discussion of the tip amendment? Can we entertain a motion to pass the tip amendment as presented?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Myers, seconded by Mr. Lopano. Let's have a roll call vote on the tip amendment, please.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Kemp?
Yes.
Commissioner Wastel?
Yes.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Commissioner Owen?
Yes.
Councilmember Maniscalco?
Yes.
Councilmember Citro?
Yes.
Councilmember Hurtak?
Yes.
Mayor Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Kilton?
Yes.
Joe Lopano?
Yes.
Adelie LeGrand?
Yes.
Greg Slater?
Yes.
Charles Klug?
Yes.
Planning Commissioner Soraya?
Yes.
Board Member Vaughn?
Yes.
The motion passes 16-0.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is the TPO membership apportionment plan. This has been an ongoing conversation here at this board, and Elizabeth Watkins is here to continue that conversation. I wanted to ask, for the benefit of our new board members and also to remind everybody, in order for there to be a reapportionment, certain things have to happen. And just let us know what those are and how the process works before maybe getting everybody up to speed on where we are in this discussion.
Great point, absolutely.
Thank you.
So for our new members, a membership apportionment plan is essentially a document that lays out the voting membership of this body of the MPO. And it's required by state statute. And state statute also dictates the process. So after the TPO board adopts this apportionment plan, one of the next steps is to go to the member jurisdictions to seek a resolution of support. So we were going to go to Plant City, Temple Terrace, Hillsborough County, and the city of Tampa to seek that resolution. Also in state statute particularly elevates the position of the largest central city, which in Hillsborough County, that's the city of Tampa. So we went to the city of Tampa first to seek their support, and there was an alternative resolution that I will present today. So that's essentially what it is, the process that we need to have those memberships approvals, and then I'll summarize the
And then we have to have the governor's approval as well.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yes.
So whatever we decide on as a board has to be approved by all the governments as well as the governor. So it shouldn't surprise anybody that we didn't come to an agreement 6 months ago about exactly how this would work.
Thank you. So Cheryl, if you would pull up the slides. Next slide. And I'll pass this one. Next one, Cheryl, please. So a bit about where we have been, and thank you, Commissioner Cohen, for helping lay the groundwork. So back in August, the TPO board approved the membership apportionment plan to change the membership by adding 2 additional seats for Hillsborough County. Because that 69% of the population resides in unincorporated county, so the thought was to increase it to 2 additional seats to be consistent with that proportional population representation. So from there, the next step was to go to the city of Tampa. So we presented to city council, and in turn, there was an alternative resolution presented. And that, it's in your packet, but essentially what that said was city of Tampa is also underrepresented by population when you look at it one way. and also that there's a number of transportation facilities within the city. So their proposal was to have 1 seat for Hillsborough County and then 1 seat for the city of Tampa. So the purpose we're back here today is to present that information to you and seek your direction on how to move forward. Next slide, please. So in your packet is a summary of that memo as well as the resolution summarizing the City of Tampa's position. And again, state statute dictates that there must be agreement that must include the largest central city, which is the City of Tampa.
So just for clarification.
Yeah.
The original proposal was for all 7 county commissioners to serve on the MPO, keeping Tampa's representation the same, which is 2 city council members and a seat appointed by the mayor. Their counter proposal is 6 of the 7 county commissioners and essentially an additional, it would be 3 city council members and 1 appointed by the mayor, is that right?
Those details weren't specified, but it was
would be
4 for Tampa,
4
6
for
for
Tampa
Hillsborough.
instead of 3.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And Cheryl, on the next slide is a summary of that breakdown. We cut it 2 ways depending on how the board wanted to look at it. So this first summary table shows it as a percentage of the full board, all 16 seats. The next slide shows it as just the jurisdictional governments. As a reminder, our MPO is a little bit different because we have a number of non-local elected officials on our TPO board. So both slides show the TPO's proposal, the Tampa's proposal, as well as the staff alternative, which is kind of a compromise of both, saying, okay, Hillsborough County has a number of population, 2 more seats for Hillsborough County, but an additional seat for the city of Tampa. Then just 2 more reminders, and then I'd really love to hear your feedback. So Cheryl, if you can go to the state statutes. 2 more slides. Thank you. So again, state statute says that it must be based on an equitable geographic representation basis. So population really needs to be the primary factor in how you decide to apportion votes. And then again, the specific citation on how, the particular position that the central city must be in agreement.
Let me stop you for 1 second. Mayor Ross, you had a question, I believe you wanted, when she stopped, well, okay, thank you.
And we're done. On the next slide is just a staff recommendation, but curious, or very interested in your direction.
Mayor Ross.
So you're finished?
Yes.
Okay. So, thank you, Mr. Chair. When this idea was originally introduced, I was skeptical of it, but primarily because at that time that it was initially introduced, it wasn't primarily based on population. It was based on perceived relative importance of infrastructure and
feelings,
commuting patterns, and so it was the rationale that caused me to be fairly skeptical. The proposal that we have before us today, after further analysis, does seem to reflect population ratios. And so therefore, I'm prepared to support this both at my council and also here.
Which proposal, are you talking about the staff alternative?
Yeah, and so if you're prepared for a motion, I would make a motion to adopt the staff alternative, which places all 7 county commissioners on the TPO and then adds an additional seat for the city of Tampa. In my opinion, that gives us the ratio that best reflects the population.
Okay, so we have a motion from Mayor Ross, seconded by Councilman Maniscalco. Discussion. Commissioner Wastel, I saw you first, but I'll come down, and Councilman Citro, I see you as well.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to be opposing the staff alternative. Specifically, you said that this is based on not only current population, but realistically, this is going to represent Hillsborough County for the next 10 years, where, with no debate needed, most of the growth of population is going to be seen in the, and continue to be seen in the unincorporated areas, right, which is going to further decrease the percentage of representation needed by the city of Tampa. Now, this board, Chair, over the past several years has used the word equity a lot. And it's ingrained actually in our current agenda, I believe, referenced 7 times. Now, when you look at 72% of Hillsborough County's population being in the unincorporated area, but only being represented by 7 positions on this board. That seems inequitable to me. Furthermore, if you really dissect the majority of this current 16-member board, you will see before myself being appointed, 9 out of the 16 board members were advocates solely for the city of Tampa. They did not represent what this board actually is, which is named the Hillsborough County TPO, not the city of Tampa TPO. This is just another further play to reduce the amount of representation of the 72% of people that live in the unincorporated area that are currently only represented by 39% of this board's membership, allegedly. A support of further disenfranchising 72% would just be a continued slap in the face of where the majority of growth is going to be over the next decade of Hillsborough County. I fully oppose adding another seat for the staff alternative and adopting the original TPO suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, from the beginning, I've always had the position that the makeup of the board as it stands right now with 16 members is sufficient. I mean, it's already a very large board, and at this rate, we're going to have all the members of Hillsborough County on it, and then it won't be long before everybody in Tampa's on it too. I just think it's too much. So I was opposed to making any changes originally, and that's still going to be my position at this time.
Thank you. Councilman Citro.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I do appreciate it. The population of the city of Tampa changes. It doubles every day from 7 in the morning to 7 in the evening. We have more people coming in from East County, North County, Pinellas, Polk, Pasco, and Manatee. They travel through our city. We are the #1 fatality in Hillsborough County from cars, walking, and biking. With those figures, yes, Hillsborough County is growing. But if the population stayed within unincorporated Hillsborough County, I would understand. But population from unincorporated county comes into the city of Tampa to work each and every day. Let's just work. Let's talk about sporting events. Let's talk about cultural events. Let's talk about all the other events that happen in Tampa that people drive through on these streets, not to mention I-4 and 275. That traffic that runs through our city each and every day does not benefit the people that live around that area. Mr. Chair, I still feel that the city of Tampa needs more representation on this MPO, TPO, because our population doubles each and every day. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other comments before we vote on whether or not to move forward with the motion, which is the staff alternative? Commissioner Owen, your light is on. Do you want to speak?
Yeah, and again, forgive me, because I'm new here. And I'm not going to get in debate over growth and the unincorporated versus the incorporated. If you come to a county commission meeting, you can see where all the growth is coming. And that definitely is the unincorporated part of Hillsborough County. But what Mayor Kilton alluded to earlier, to keep a status quo, has that ship sailed on this? Procedurally, is this, when we make these, are we going to be voting on 2?
We're going to vote on whatever the board's pleasure is, which
Okay.
means that if this doesn't pass, we might go back to the drawing board. Somebody might make an alternative motion. It's really that we just have this motion on the floor, though, for right now.
Okay, so, all right, so if it doesn't pass, then there is a possibility that the status quo would remain and we go back to the drawing board, correct?
The status quo is going to remain until we come up with some sort of consensus on how we want to move forward.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a point of clarification. Can I get a recap of exactly what the final makeup of the board would be if I'm trying to kind of get a sense of what's
Ms. Watkins,
added
I
there.
think you had a slide that addresses that. That's
Yes, Cheryl, could you pull up one of the tables, please?
And then just for clarity, whatever this board votes on today will still have to go to the city and to the state.
all 4 cities and the governor. So I would not have a party celebrating its passage quite yet.
So here is a summary table. If with the staff alternative, it would be 7 seats, so all BOCC members, 4 for the city of Tampa, 1 for Plant City, 1 for Temple Terrace, and then 1 for Thea, 1 for the Port Authority, 1 for Hart, 1 for the Airport Authority, 1 for the school board, and 1 for the Planning Commission.
Are there any other comments? I'm just going to, excuse me, Councilwoman Hurtak, did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also not gonna support the staff alternative. I would prefer either the Tampa proposed or just to leave it at the existing. At this point, with everything going through, we might have better chance of just leaving it where it is.
So I'm going to speak last before, unless anyone else has anything to say. Actually, I'm not going to vote for the staff alternative either, but I have a bit of a different reason. I just think I have 7 commissioners on one board with a whole other group of people. I just think is too much. I think that that having the whole board serve with a bunch of other people also raises a lot of things that to me it becomes extremely unwieldy, I think was the word that you used earlier. I agree with Councilman Citro in his analysis that the city, because it doubles in population every day, is the recipient of most of the tourist dollars, is where our major institutions are. The city is a very, very big player in all this. But as has been said before, the county commissioners do represent both. I represent a district that is the majority in the city of Tampa. Commissioner Myers, I think, does as well. And Commissioner Kemp lives in the city. I mean, we all bring various hats to our roles here. The second thing is that I don't think the jurisdictional boundaries are all that meaningful anymore. I think that people drive all over the county, depending on where they work or whatever else they do, and these lines are invisible to everybody but us. And the final thing that I would say is that I don't really think that if there's not real consensus here, the chances of something working out at all 4 jurisdictions and with the governor are fairly low. And I think unless we're going to have an overwhelming vote in favor of something, it's probably doomed from the start. So for that reason, I'm going to not vote for the motion. If there's anything else, though, we could have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Cohen?
No.
Commissioner Kemp?
The motion is for the staff recommendation. No.
Commissioner Kemp?
No.
Commissioner Wastel?
No.
Commissioner Myers?
No.
Commissioner Owen?
No.
Councilmember Maniscalco?
Yes.
Councilmember Citro?
No.
Councilmember Hurtak?
No.
Mayor Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Kilton?
No.
Joe Lupano?
No.
Adelie LeGrand?
No.
Greg Slater?
No.
Charles Klug?
No.
Planning Commissioner Soraya?
No.
Board Member Vaughn?
No.
The motion fails 14 to 2.
I'm sure we'll talk about that again. Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we keep the status quo. That clearly we're having trouble with some of the alternatives, and I think the best path forward would be for it to remain, the board makeup to remain as it is, and I'd like to make that motion.
And I'll second that.
Mr. Clark, let me just clarify with you, just because the status, I don't know that we need a motion to maintain the status quo. I think we maintain the status quo until we have a motion that supersedes it, but I'll let the attorney give us some guidance on that.
I think the prudent course of action is if you want to maintain the status quo, there still needs to be something for the local bodies to vote on and something for the governor to approve. So if you want to maintain the current board membership, I think the best course of action would be you vote on it and then send that proposal to the local government body and to the governor, because we are required by both state and federal law to reapportion after each census. So we couldn't just essentially through inaction keep the same composition. We'd still have to vote.
Thank you for that clarification. Then that motion is in order. Is there a second to that motion? I'm sorry.
Yes, I second.
Okay, thank you. Discussion. Yes, Councilman Citro.
When I approached council members, I had asked for 2 extra votes from the city of Tampa. We had discussed and we had come to a compromise from my request to 1 member from the city of Tampa. I still feel that the city of Tampa is underrepresented on this TPO-MPO board. However, if it will help, I will vote for this motion, but I would prefer to have 1 more city council member on this MPO-TPO. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Hurtak.
If you made a motion for that, I would second you.
Let's see how this, Mr. Chair, if I may. Thank you. With your permission, let's see how this vote goes, because the vote we already have is on the floor.
Well, Mr. Mayor Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My second alternative, other than the failed motion, would be to support this idea. I was opposed to adding more representation for the city of Tampa if we didn't also add the additional representation for the BOCC. So I think the second wisest course of action would be to support this motion and continue the status quo.
Yes, Councilman Citro, you wanted to be
Second bite
recognized
of the
again.
apple, and that'll be the last one. Then I would prefer the city's recommendation for 1 Hillsborough County and 1 City of Tampa representative be added.
Let me just say, I'm going to vote no on all the motions today because I think that honestly, we'll discuss. This is something that our new members, they'll be here for a couple months. They can weigh in on it a little. We can continue to discuss this. So, but whatever anybody wants to do, we have a motion on the floor to maintain the status quo. It has been seconded. Is there any more discussion? Please, let's have a roll call vote on that.
Commissioner Cohen?
No.
Commissioner Kemp?
You said a motion to.
It's a motion to maintain the status quo. There's not a substitute motion.
You voted no.
I voted no because I'm voting no on all the motions. No, I just think we should continue to discuss this down the road. That's all.
Commissioner Kemp?
No,
Commissioner Wastel?
we should be tortured.
It's still not working, but yes.
Commissioner Myers?
No.
Commissioner Owen?
Yes.
Councilmember Maniscalco?
No.
Councilmember Citro?
No.
Councilmember Hurtak?
No.
Mayor Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Kilton?
Yes.
Joe Lopano?
Yes.
Adelie LeGrand?
Can I ask a question? If we don't approve the status quo, what do we have?
The status quo until we approve something formally.
Okay, okay,
Good question.
yeah.
Greg Slater?
Yes.
Charles Klug?
Yes.
Planning Commissioner Soraya?
No. No.
Board Member Vaughn?
No.
The vote results in a tie, 8-8.
I don't know, but I believe a tie means that the motion fails. Okay. So is there anything else? Are there any other motions on this item before we move on?
Ms.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is it possible we can defer this to maybe the March or April meeting?
I think by not doing anything, we're deferring it until it gets brought up again. Councilman Citro, if you still wanted to speak.
Well, Mr. Chair, we already know how you're going to vote if I was to make a different motion. So may I ask that we put this on the agenda, say, February, our February meeting, so that other members have had a time to hash this out?
Second. Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Citro, a second from Councilman Maniscalco. I will vote for this motion. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Our February agenda may be full. We may need to do it in March.
Okay, we'll leave that to the discretion of the director, if that's all right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Alden.
Uh,
I apologize, and thank you, board members.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of deferring this until that meeting in either February or March, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you very much. We are going to move on now to freight resilience and supply chain study, and we have a presentation, I believe, this morning from Jason Smeek of AECom.
Great. Hello, everybody. Beth Alden, do you have any words to start us off?
Sure, I'd be happy to introduce this
Okay.
item. So the Freight Resilience and Supply Chain Study is the conclusion of some analysis and research that this board asked for last spring when we adopted our Unified Planning Work Program. This digs into goods movement, freight movement in disaster scenarios. It, at this point, does not make specific recommendations for transportation improvements, but it points us at some areas that we need to focus on. And Mr. Smeek will go over that with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alden. Appreciate it. So I'll go ahead and cover the supply chain resiliency study today. I do have our project manager, Lauren Brooks, on the call as well for support. We'll go ahead and talk about supply chains and why they're important, as well as some of the study outcomes for you today. We all remember Hurricane Katrina and obviously the impacts of the inundation that occurred during that event, as well as the impacts to supply chain, which led to perishable goods that spoiled, and of course access to water and other critical lifeline commodities being available for the residents of the city. And obviously it was a national, frankly, catastrophe that occurred there. We also have seen recently with Hurricane Ian that, you know, portions of the Sanibel Causeway washed away, right? So these impact our transportation networks, but certainly also impact the ability to move goods around our communities and county. So why are supply chains relevant? Well, nearly everything that we touch is delivered through a supply chain, a value chain. And you know, what's important to note about this is that in the end, it really isn't just about freight movement. It's really about people's jobs, people's well-being, the ability to stay healthy and secure and have the commodities and services that are necessary for that to occur. So what we also have seen is that the Hillsborough County, if the community itself is equitable, resilient, and sustainable under normal circumstances, that has an effect of bringing resiliency to the broader supply chain. And we'll talk about why that occurs related to supply chain enablers, as well as the more traditional thought about supply chains from a transportation network. At the bottom of the slide, I show the supply chain of Plant City Strawberries as an example of what a supply chain looks like at a high level, right? Plants coming in from northern nurseries all the way through being cultivated, chilled in a climate-controlled distribution center, and then out to the actual consumption point. This gives you a sense of what a supply chain example looks like. So study objectives. We were really looking at key supply chains in Hillsborough County and how they could be impacted or disrupted under certain disaster scenarios. We mapped 5 different supply chains of commodities and services. We identified the potential vulnerabilities and identified the impacts of certain disasters and disruptions on those supply chains, and identified recommended actions that look to mitigate impacts or strengthen resilience of the supply chain and the communities that they support, build safety and resilience for Hillsborough County and its communities, establish ongoing engagement with key supply chain partners, and also look at how to better bring together in partnership other supply chain actors, stakeholders, communities, to really help with integrating and upholding this neighborhood context, roadway safety, Vision Zero initiatives, the quality of life goals that go along with a resilient community and also help foster the movement of freight throughout the community. Here's our timeline. We started in February, and throughout this project, we have had a number of stakeholder interviews, stakeholder work sessions, as well as involvement with other stakeholders to really vet the thinking as well as get input that is part of our analysis. And we had 3 different tasks. We are wrapping up now with the recommendations to you today, and have really had a valuable dialogue with our stakeholders as well as the assessment of the materials that we've used. I won't go into detail here. This is obviously a lot, but the overall study methodology is depicted on this slide. In the following slides, I'll go through and cover the specifics of those for you today. So the study framework, we had literature and case studies that we utilized. A lot of the basis of this study was based on Department of Homeland Security's Supply Chain Resilience Guide, as well as FEMA's Community Lifelines Implementation Toolkit. Those are 2 guiding documents that are used nationwide for the assessment of supply chains and the overall resiliency of those supply chains. We also used the local LMS and other pieces of literature and case studies in supply chain management for this study. Stakeholder and community input was central to this. We had stakeholder small group interviews, community sessions, as well as individual stakeholder interviews that were incorporated into the study results, and also used data sets such as the HAZUS model of inundation, as well as the Project Phoenix models from Tampa, to really identify what the impacts of specifically the tropical system hazard would be on network and critical facilities. The commodities that we studied were food and grocery, water, wastewater utility, housing material, urgent healthcare services, and medicine and fuel distribution systems. These commodities were derived from the guidelines provided by FEMA through the community guidelines documentation. And really why that was that this is an initial study for Hillsborough County and the Tampa MSA. We wanted to start with the basics, right? Those elements of commodity or service that were required for the population's well-being. We really need to start with these because they enable the broader supply chain to function thereafter. So starting with these made a lot of sense and was vetted during our stakeholder engagement. I'm going to show you here some examples. This is a commodity supply chain map that was drawn up for the study. And what we have here in this upper left, and I'll go through these very briefly, is the inputs that go into the supply chain. We have different flows of information and fiscal flow or monetary flow. We have different basic nodes within the supply chain. So you have suppliers, you have production, you have processing, wholesaling, retail, consumption, waste, and really it creates a kind of closed loop cycle. This is an example of the food grocery supply chain map, so you can see how that flows. We also have details within this map that then give us the ability to see what the impacts are to, let's say, specific modes of transportation. So we can identify with the data sets that were used what the share of modes of transportation within each section of the supply chain are, such as truck, water, rail, air, and in some cases pipeline for water and for fuel. See the breakout of what the import percentages are for Tampa MSA, as well as in Tampa direct purchases, and then identify the critical companies that support us as well from a corporation or private company perspective. And so this served as an ability for us to synthesize what does the supply chain look like, and then get into the details of the impacts thereafter. The disaster scenarios that were considered, we actually looked at 3 and then a combination of 2 others. We looked at cyber attack, transportation incidents, as well as flooding and wind events. Important as we've seen, especially in the field of supply chain management over the last probably decade or so, the concept of cyber attack and transportation incidents impacting us greatly has become a lot more prevalent and studied. And so we've included those in this study as well. Obviously, flooding and wind events are really important for the peninsula and for Hillsborough County, so we found it very important to include that as well as one of the hazards. And then we looked at the combination of the two, so cyber attack and flooding wind events, as well as cyber attack and transportation incidents, to see what the impact might be of compounding issues. Important to note, we looked at climate change as well as some of the details in inundation events and how that might increase over time, and what that did to the overall analysis. I'm not going to go into detail here, but this shows you what an example of the outputs look like. This is one example of a commodity and service, water and wastewater utilities, looking at the different disaster scenarios, the severity, as well as the scope and the impact, where we basically collected all of this information from the maps and from the data sets and the studies and put it into one location for assessment. So you can see some examples of what those look like here on the slide. So some of the feedback that we received from our stakeholder engagement, obviously there's redundancy is a key element here of resiliency, and fortunately we have a decent amount of transportation redundancy in Hillsborough County. There are some areas that we've identified that warrant further study and other discussion. We have the importance of resource substitutions identified here as well as a lesson, that we need to understand what those resource substitutions could look like, having emergency staffing plans in place, and then cross-training of staff on use of critical operations or equipment is important. One example that was given was, for example, with fuel distribution, a lot of that's automated today, and there are very few people that understand how to or have the capability to run pumps in a manual fashion today, right? So it's an example of some of the insights that we got around critical supply chain elements that need to be reviewed for resiliency. Some of the challenges and disruptions that we saw, you can see on the slide here, but some of the really critical ones are those that relate to supply chain enablers, right? So ensuring that the workforce can get to places of work or have the ability from an access perspective to certain commodities and services. So some of the observations and what we learned. There is obviously a link between climate change, ESG principles, and overall supply chain resilience. As mentioned at the opening of the presentation, it's important that the overall community is resilient, right? That supports individuals and their ability to, let's say, get to work or access critical goods that enable well-being. These are all important factors that create habitability and interoperable lifelines for the county. Creating resilient communities really creates resilient supply chains, right? So we must figure out how to balance, especially as goods movement increases over the next couple decades, right? Balancing freight needs and community needs is a very important thing because it, again, helps with the resiliency and also the well-being of the community, which helps then the supply chains to function further. Other hazards such as cyber attack and transportation incident really haven't been studied as much, right? So we need to consider those in our scenario planning going forward. We obviously do a lot of tabletop exercises and planning for tropical system and flood wind events, right? We need to consider these as well as they are risks for the community. And then we do have the redundant transportation infrastructure identified within the county. This is good because it enables the ability of trucking and pathing to occur when, let's say, certain areas are blocked due to hazards or disruptions. But we have identified that there are critical network gaps at important facilities. Access to county airport is an example during events for the ability to support recovery or disaster scenarios. Those are examples of transportation elements that could be assessed further for potential recommendation. We had about 81 recommendations that came out of this, broadly speaking. These cover transportation, study guide or research recommendations, coordination, training, tool and education, and grant opportunity examples. And I'll give you some of those here today. Really, by far, the majority of those centered around study guide and research opportunities, but there were a number of transportation, coordination, training, and education, as well as grant opportunities that were identified. I'll give you some quick examples of those. I know we have limited time, but many areas that are critical infrastructure for supporting freight movement, goods movement, are areas prone to inundation, right? So identifying critical freight facilities and where these intersect with inundation during flood wind events, as an example, is important, as they're susceptible to inundation and storm events. And obviously climate change impacts those greatly as well. And communities, frankly, around these areas also feel the effects of this, right? So if these main arteries are not available for the movement of goods, right, there's a potential, right, that these move through our communities in different ways that are undesirable. So that's an example. It's also important that we look at how to design to coexist, right? And so it's important to think about how to incorporate joint ped and truck infrastructure, separated bike ped infrastructure, smart loading zones, and also community oriented examples of how to, let's say, contain water in stormwater parks that are also an asset to the community, right? So creating a balance between freight access, bike ped safety, and also resiliency is important to the broader well-being of the community. Here's just some quick examples of what those look like, right, that support freight movement as well as the community itself. And I'll give you some examples here briefly of some of those transportation hotspots identified through the use of the data, as well as the assessment of specific impacts of those hazards. One example of this is the Ybor Channel area. Obviously contains vulnerable populations, right? Significant bicycle and pedestrian activity, and a long and continued history of freight activity. This includes the recommendation of further study, and this is recommendation number 1 on this slide, of ways to improve bicycle and pedestrian access to safety, as well as addressing resiliency issues related to access and floodwater, while allowing freight vehicles to access companies in the area. One other really good example is number 2, which is the Hooker's Point area. For example, one of the important ways of accessing this from a modal perspective for the transportation of fuel and commodities for wastewater treatment that occurs on the on Hooker's Point is a single rail line that enters into the area, right? So that is one example of how to look at potential transportation bottlenecks and the impact of some of these hazards to transportation and freight movement and the well-being of the broader community. Finally, some other examples of recommendations in the study guide and research area. One is to develop a local supply chain resiliency best practices guide that can be shared with the public and, frankly, private companies that work in the area that could help them with their own planning and thoughts around resiliency. Coordinating, facilitating some annual focused tabletop or functional practice exercises around supply chain and goods movement is an example. Thinking also about broader topics such as a cyber attack or other hazards and incorporating that into the tabletop is also recommended. Training, tool, and education, developing best practices, training for managers in critical retail and distribution positions, and helping foster that dialogue with our private companies. And then really grant opportunities. Obviously, we see historic levels of grant funding opportunity in looking at IIJA and bill grant funding for alternative fuel corridors is one example, an opportunity to work with the Florida Department of Transportation in doing so. So these are some good examples of what came out of the study as well. And with that, Ms. Alden, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you very much. That was very comprehensive. Are there any questions or comments from board members? Ms. LeGrand, I see your light is on.
Yes, again, I would agree with you, Commissioner, that this was a very detailed report. I spent the first decade of my transportation career in logistics and supply chain management. So for me, this was great, great reading and very insightful. It was pretty dense also, so I do think there's probably some value to doing an executive summary for those who are not in the business of logistics to really understand the essence of this study. A couple of points that I did find to be pretty illuminating. One, as far as the mode that we see in our county as far as moving freight, it seemed like the truck mode was the highest mode that was carrying the majority of the freight. And the reason why I point that out is because we're here as a TPO and we're looking at transportation. And in a lot of cases, people don't really understand the impact of trucking as it connects to freight, as it connects to bringing people goods and services, and also how do we plan to make sure that we are, looking at how we accommodate freight and the intersection between freight and commuters. And in most cases, people don't like that intersection. So I do think that that was great to point that out. The other thing that I did think was pretty interesting was the joint pedestrian truck infrastructure, to look at opportunities where throughout the county we can do that, because that interface between the pedestrian and trucks, that's always an area where there's some conflict. And then also the complete streets approach with including trucking. So just wanted to commend you for this work, and it was very informative, and thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Wastall?
Chair, is the speaker available for question?
I believe he is, yes. Yes, he is.
I actually, I agree with Ms. LeGrand, and when we talk about freight resilience, I'm interested if the speaker can elaborate on, he referenced the lifelines of the freight supply chain, and what might something do to that lifeline if we were to, per se, tear down miles of a major economic lifeline of 275, and how that would be disruptive to them?
So I'll comment that, overall freight movement relies on multiple pathing and the ability to address freight movement efficiently throughout the county, right? So what's important is to think about is how do you ensure that that movement occurs in a fluid and effective manner, also while minimizing the effects to the communities within which it flows, right? The impact of freight movement throughout any community is really something that can impact negatively, but also very positively from an opportunities perspective for employment and other benefits that occur from supply chains, right? And we often think just about kind of this conflict that absolutely exists between freight movement and some of the things that we enjoy in our communities, right? But it's a necessary part of how we conduct business, but more importantly, the well-being of individuals, of their families, of the ability to frankly support workforces, as well as in cases of disaster and disruption, the ability to have critical commodities and services available within Hillsborough County to ensure that we have recovery and frankly the sustenance of the economy, right? And so these things are not independent, they are linked, and it's important to consider them all in a holistic fashion when we think about infrastructure changes.
So, sorry, Chair, specifically my question is, do you believe that tearing down miles of 275 would disrupt the lifeline of the freight resiliency that you just spoke to in your briefing? A simple yes or no. Do you believe that that would be disruptive to the lifeline of the freighting industry?
Those RTOs are critical for freight movement.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mayor.
Apologize if I missed this during the comments, but we just had the ultimate case study in supply chain disruption from COVID that we're still experiencing. I'm curious to what extent that was looked at as part of this, and also any forward trends, like what we're hearing from a lot of the developers that are building, massive logistics warehouses in Plant City is that because of the disruption, the just-in-time inventory systems that worked before aren't working any longer. So we're seeing bigger spaces, so there's more inventory on hand, and trends toward onshoring, those types of things. How does that impact what we're looking at in this evaluation?
Absolutely. So we did look at the impacts to health and pharmaceutical commodity and services specifically. And so we captured a lot of that input from that perspective. So enabling us to have those conversations with the stakeholders. A lot of these conversations immediately yielded examples from pandemic experiences. And in fact, we actually led with some of those kind of icebreaker conversations related to what were the impacts that you felt within your community or specifically for your own family from the pandemic and the availability or access to goods and services such as food or medical care as an example, or PPE. Those were elements that we talked to. We also talked with Tampa General and had a number of connections with others from a health and pharmaceutical commodities and medical commodities perspective. So that is woven in throughout this study. What's important too to note is that it is one of the commodities and services that was specifically studied because regardless of whether it's from pandemic disruption or from a tropical system disrupting those commodities and services, it's absolutely critical that we maintain those or have resiliency brought into those supply chains in the county for well-being. It also then helps, of course, the ability for the broader supply chain and its enablers, the workforce and others, to be healthy and support the activities of the supply chain. So that covers that. Your second question was, again?
Just
the trends.
The trends.
Yeah, so what's interesting is we're actually seeing a lot more freight movement into the East Coast as production shifts in East Asia, right? So what's interesting is there's some trends around how production is moving from China to Vietnam and to other countries, and actually that changes the dynamic of shipping into the East Coast as an example. I think you're going to see increased freight utilization of East Coast ports. Also increased logistics and supply chain activity along the East Coast of the United States from that as an example. But we're also seeing the impact, as you said, to how companies think about supply chains related to the disruptions that were felt during the pandemic. And obviously that was of sorts a perfect storm, right? But it exposed a number of weaknesses in how, frankly, supply chains have been built in the past using, as you mentioned and referenced, just-in-time inventory, really thinking about how to lean out as much as you can from the supply chain. I think that many, if not all companies in some way are thinking about how this impacts their inventory positions, their transportation and logistics networks, and it may yield, frankly, increased desire for warehousing capacity, but also, frankly, there's a long-term trend with e-commerce and, frankly, the desire for faster movement of goods. And frankly, sustainability in the supply chain to site logistics capability closer to consumers, right? So bringing that warehousing capacity for large companies closer to MSAs where we think, or metropolitan areas where we can deliver more effectively with more sustainability is another trend. I think you're going to see more activity, frankly, over the next couple decades than you have today.
Thank you. I have Mr. Klug, and then I have Councilwoman Hurtak and Councilman Citro.
Yes, thank you. I have a couple comments. Just one of my comments you just made about supply chain. We've seen that movement to the East Coast. There's a good article in the Wall Street Journal on Saturday about that, about ports in New York, New Jersey actually surpassed LA Long Beach. Those two ports recently, because BCOs, beneficial cargo owners, are looking at shifting that over to the East Coast and more trade with Mexico, outside of China, et cetera, finding more trade with Europe, et cetera. A couple comments. We have a hurricane table exercise every year at the port. We're constantly training for this. We have a joint safety security summit with the Aviation Authority. We alternate on that. And so that involves cybersecurity as well. And this is always being prepared, understanding what the weaknesses are. We're always preparing for that at the port. But main comment is about land use and planning. I'm not sure this report addresses this. It's really important to us is these freight corridors, is that when the freight comes into our port or it goes from, a lot of our trades with Polk County, for instance, we have those freight corridors that go from our port to I-75 or 301, US 41, 275, I-4, et cetera. Also for rail, those rail corridors are really important. What we're seeing sometimes is we're seeing land use being changed, allowing residential schools, daycares, et cetera, on those corridors. And so it's creating a lot of conflicts. I mean, talking about bicycle pedestrians, sometimes we don't need to have bicycle pedestrians mixing with freight. I mean, that's something we need to be considering when we're doing this, is that we have to be very careful about that. is that we have to make sure that we're not jeopardizing freight and creating more congestion and more potential accidents between freight and others, vehicles and pedestrians and bicycles. So that's a really important part of this process. We do have a port activity center. We comment every now and then when we see land use changing to residential or schools or other things along those freight corridors or within the port areas itself. It's not just port-owned properties, but industrial lands. We have a finite amount of industrial lands in Hillsborough County. We want to make sure we protect those and that there's not that conflict. And so that's one thing I like to see in the report more of is the land use and planning function. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Hurtak?
I see it in the recommendations, and this kind of goes along with the port, but rail, just more discussion about rail and how that seems to be, I know the port is going to be extending their addition of, the capacity to actually take in more freight and more goods, and how we get them out is really going to be rail and reduction of trucks, and I mean that's what I would. So I mean I don't disagree with looking at the surrounding areas, but I think I know that the rail corridors could use another looking at. It's been a while, so I would like a little bit more information on how that all ties together.
Councilman Citro?
Oh, thank you, and I won't dwell on it much longer, but the city of Tampa is the hub in this region for all transportation, land, sea, and air. And again, with a port, the best port in the southeast, the best airport in the world, city of Tampa is vital to every part of our infrastructure in this area. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Maniscalco, seconded by Commissioner Wastel to approve and accept this report. All those in favor, please. We don't need a roll call vote on this, do we? Can we just have a voice vote? I think we can have a motion for approval. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Our final action item this morning is the Tampa School Transportation Safety Study, and Catherine Tellez from Fair and Peers is going to make that report to us. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're not her.
I'm not her, but I'm Lisa Silva, TPO staff. I'm the project manager, so I had the pleasure of managing Catherine Tellez and a whole group of stakeholders, including one of your Vision Zero heroes, Emily Hinsdale, participated as a stakeholder in developing this plan. So, and we did build upon the previous school transportation safety study that Ms. Stewart alluded to earlier. So I want to give kudos to Hillsborough County. They've taken a lot of the data that we did in that 2018 report and have gone off and are working on implementing it. In this one, you'll see a little bit of stronger focus on City of Tampa because they requested that additional help to get them to the next step. But we took all of the data, refreshed it for all 4 jurisdictions. Also, Plant City and Temple Terrace have taken and done safe routes grants and stuff since the previous study. So we're building on all of that. We did a lot of work over this past year, so we're going to attempt to go lightning fast through all of it. So I did provide an executive summary of this bigger, larger document that I have. That's the whole study. And then I wanted to point out that each and every one of these, including all 8 of the detailed school analysis, is on the website, so you can go check that out. I have been chatting with Board Member Vaughn about getting this rolled out in a broader way with the school district to help with their implementation of it. And I'm available anytime to present it. I'm kind of sad I don't get to present it to you today, but our consultant will do a great job. So I can present this in more detail or repeat it for any groups that you see that could help be a partner in its implementation. And then I just want to point out, as you heard during your chair reports, that all the committees were very supportive of it. So I'll let Catherine Tellez take it away.
Great. Good morning, everyone. I'm Catherine Tellez with Fair and Peers. And as Lisa mentioned, we've been very busy for the last year or so on this project and excited to really share with you today the final outcome. So we'll kind of briefly touch on the project overview, how we selected the school sites, some of our data collection highlights, and then diving into some of the specific examples of recommendations that we developed for specific schools, as well as the educational and encouragement strategies. So as Lisa mentioned, this study builds on the 2018 study that identified a host of improvements at schools throughout the county. And so this study really just built on that prior study because you can't do all the schools in the district at once. So some of the key tasks that we did was we assembled a stakeholder group. We really wanted to make sure that we were getting lots of feedback from a diverse group of people throughout the course of the project. We sent out a survey to district families as well as all of the schools. We updated the school prioritization list. We assessed how the existing Safe Routes to School programs were working in the region, and then developed some new ideas that could be considered in the future. And then we applied those to select schools in the district, as well as identifying those physical improvements. So how did we select the schools? So it was really a largely data-driven process with points allocated to each school based on a number of factors, including equity, transportation safety, and a few others. So the goal was really to select schools where there have been minimal investments in transportation, and where transportation safety outcomes can serve as a barrier to students walking and bicycling to school. So here are the factors that were considered in their relative weighting. And this was run by our steering committee, and we got lots of great feedback to really hone in on the final list of schools. And then here's the final list that we ended up with. And then it wasn't a surprise to us, but many of the schools evaluated in 2018 actually rose to the top of our list here as well, since it does take a while for those improvements and change to occur. So while the ranking criteria differed a little slightly, and it placed a greater emphasis on equity, it really didn't identify significantly different schools. And then just noting that schools that had been included in the prior assessment were not included in this one. So there was a 2017 family transportation survey that was sent out. So that was refreshed, and we actually received over 10,000 responses representing about 18,000 students in the district. So we looked at the grade levels that were received, and we noted that elementary schools were slightly overrepresented, and then high school families were slightly underrepresented. And then while the responses from any one specific school were generally not statistically significant, and some schools had a low response rate, the survey responses overall really helped us identify those general transportation trends and challenges for families within the district. So just summarizing a few of the responses here. So about 88% of respondents indicated that their student is driven to or from school in some sort of vehicle, and so including a personal vehicle, school bus, transit bus, or some other mode. We also highlighted some of the barriers to walking. So while each area surrounding specific schools have their own unique challenges and characteristics, it was really the distance, safe crossings, and vehicle speeds that rose to the top as those top three challenges for people letting their students walk or bike to school. We also noted how far people live from the school that they're zoned for, or that their student attends. So really trying to understand, if we were to provide a better walking and biking environment, how many students reasonably could walk to school. It's expected that in elementary school, a reasonable walking distance is about up to a half mile, and then as students get older, that can increase to about a mile. We're also interested in understanding how COVID might have changed travel patterns for students in the district. And so we found that really overall, not a lot of change. We found some students stopped taking the bus, but a lot of others started to do so. And about 8.5% reported that their student is transported in a vehicle more often. And we also noted a slight increase in carpooling and walking. So really kind of interesting to understand some of those travel shifts. And then one of the barriers for parents and guardians letting their student walk or bike to school is just the uncertainty as to where their student is, especially for those younger students. So we asked families how they track their student travel, if the student is allowed to travel on their own, and we received a wide variety of responses. And just wanted to note that this question was posed prior to the rollout of the Here Comes the Bus project in the district, where parents and guardians are able to track their child on the bus. And then we received responses from about 188 schools in the district. So this was sort of either the school principal or some other administrator responding. And so we took a lot of the, all of the responses and really just tried to understand what some of the key challenges related to transportation and circulation. And so really it was just the drop-off pickup, how those work, how that's managed, and then this traffic and vehicle speeds overall. So again, a lot of common themes across all of the schools, but then each school has its own specific challenges. We also wanted to understand what school-specific circulation strategies were employed. And so we were able to get together a pretty comprehensive list of strategies. So that's summarized in the report as well. So if a school has some challenges, they can look in this report and maybe get some ideas of how they might be able to better manage their own circulation system. We also summarized some of the resources that we saw schools using in the district to really help manage their drop-off and pickup operations. So changing gears a little bit, we then went out to the schools that we selected for more detailed analysis to really see what was going on at the ground level. So we really wanted to observe those morning drop-off, afternoon pickup operations, how are queues on site managed, how are students walking and bicycling to school, how are school buses being able to operate. We wanted to know where crossing guards were located. We observed the behavior of people walking, biking, and driving, and then also noted where we had some ADA compliance issues. We observed how buses navigated to each school. In most instances, buses had separate drop-off pickup areas. At one school, the roadway adjacent to the school is closed to through traffic to create a bus-only area. And so there's really a lot of great strategies employed throughout the district to prioritize getting students onto the bus and buses onto the roadway in advance of all the other passenger vehicles. We took copious notes for each school, lots of pictures, videos. We even used a bike for some of the field reviews so we could really cover a lot more ground and kind of see what were those hidden paths to school and what were students doing once they got a block or two away from school. So all of this was summarized for each school, and we classified our observations into 4 different categories. So the first was in black is that informational data, like where's their crossing guards and the extent of vehicle queues. We noted at all of the schools, lots of people driving in excess of the posted speed limit, so we coded those observations in purple. And then we also noted, parents, guardians, and others just not following the rules, so those were noted in blue. And then we had notations of incomplete infrastructure, so missing sidewalks or opportunities for crossing treatment. So those are noted in green. So we prepared these for each of the focus schools, and those are all in the report. For each school, we then prepared summaries of the survey results, both at the family level, that's shown here. And then we also prepared those at the school administrator level, because we really wanted to have the full sense of what was going on. Once we'd conducted our field reviews and had some initial ideas that we'd presented to the steering committee, we then went and met with each of the principals. Some meetings we had in person, some online, and really wanting to get a little bit more detailed information and just making sure, that we understood a lot of their challenges. So this here is just an example of our meeting with West Tampa. And then ultimately, this culminated into concepts for each school of different strategies that could be implemented to help get students to and from school more safely. And so we developed these for each of the schools, and in the interest of time, we'll just sort of scan through all of these. So here at Potter School, one of the most transformative recommendations is converting Cayuga Street, which runs along the southern edge of the school, to one-way westbound. And then a few locations where we could put in raised crosswalks and some rectangular rapid flashing beacons. For Orange Grove Middle, we identified some opportunities to narrow the vehicle travelway to slow vehicles and provide improved bicycle infrastructure. At Jefferson High School, a lot of the roadway system improvements have been identified as part of the West Shore Master Plan. And so we built upon those previously identified recommendations. And then around Jess, Stewart, and Blake schools, we identified opportunities for improved sidewalks and crossings. And for these schools, we are really more focused on the educational and encouragement strategies. And so the report does identify numerous educational and encouragement strategies that can be implemented at the individual school level. And so really the keys to effective implementation include accessible communication methods, wanting to make sure it's understandable, prioritizing those underserved schools, really reducing barriers to participation, and then having a combination of strategies, because one size does not fit all. So some of the schools were interested in participating in the Crosswalks to Classroom program, and several of the schools have already started the process of incorporating their logos into some of the design strategies that were developed, so it'll be great to see these implemented in the next few years. We also noticed that many of the school administrators were not aware of what resources were available to them. So this is just a snapshot of resources. So we're still finalizing a few of the details, but the intent is that this will be distributed to schools in the district. And this way they'll have a handy resource to know who to call when they have some transportation concern around their school. The stakeholder group really liked the idea of a yard sign program. So we drafted several messages with room for some innovation and modification for schools. So you can see here, there's a placeholder for schools to put their own specific logos. And then the idea is there could be some other message on the back of the yard sign. And then in addition to the traditional safe routes to school strategies, we also identified some new and innovative strategies that could be deployed over time. And so those are detailed in the report, so we won't go into all of the details here, but happy to answer any questions if there are any at the end. And that is the extent of the project. So I will hand it back over to Lisa, and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Lisa, did you have any comments before we open it up to the board?
Not that I already said.
Okay.
I'm very excited about some of the ideas, though.
I know that School Board Member Vaughn would like to participate in the conversation at this point. Member Vaughn, you're recognized.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the study. Thank you, Ms. Silva, for your continued excitement around student safety and school safety. Thank you to the city for helping prioritize this. For some of my fellow board members who don't know, transportation is one of our biggest unfunded mandates at Hillsborough County. And due to that, we've had to narrow our busing opportunities, which has forced a lot more students to either ride cars or walk to their schools. And a lot of our schools did not have the infrastructure for the car lines that we see. And so they have to, as you can see, come up with some very creative solutions to make sure that works. And luckily we have some really great administrators and school staff who have come up with ways, but we always need additional help. And sometimes the barriers that we come to is just something as simple as, changing a light on a street, but we tend to butt up against other municipalities when it comes to the county or the city, meeting us halfway to change a light cycle or make a small improvement on the road. And as we know, Tampa, Hillsborough has one of the biggest pedestrian fatality issues. So we really need to work together and partner together to make sure we're doing everything to keep our students as safe as possible. I know this study was mostly focused on the city. I was surprised not to see Sulphur Springs area more so, specifically Sulphur Springs Elementary on there, because I know I've gotten some concerns about the safety and sidewalks in that area. And, going forward, I would like to also focus on some of the Dover Plant City school areas where, again, there could be small tweaks made to some of the infrastructure on the roads in those areas that would help a lot and make huge improvements in the safety and the functionality of our student pedestrians as well as the car lines. So, I'm really excited to see this study. I really appreciate it. I'm glad it gives us an opportunity to talk more from, the school board and from our students' perspective and our families as far as safety and how we can all work together and focus to make sure that when it comes to transporting our students, we're being as thoughtful and as responsible and collaborative as possible. So again, thank you for this.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Commissioner Kemp and then Councilman Citro.
I just like to say I'm very, very pleased, and Ms. Silva has really raised a profile within the Vision Zero context of the needs around schools. And I know that that was also done by having a school board member, Cindy Stewart, on the board, and it was very obvious when Ms. Vaughn, school board member Vaughn, just, outlined very specifically this school or that school. We may each know some of the schools, if we have children and have been in those queue lines over the years. I was recognizing some of them that she mentioned and thinking about them as she said it. But as we all know, it's just so important that we kind of do this major overhaul and look. And as Ms. Vaughn said, many don't know that the biggest unfunded mandate on our schools is that 2-mile transportation. There's no bus under the state legislature. They don't fund. Kids have to walk, or people have to figure out a different way to get from their home to the school. And I mean, it has been hair-raising for me to see some of the kinds of pictures, the videos that children have been subject to, actually in unincorporated county, the exposés that have been done of kids just walking along, unmowed grass, tall grass, with a fence, up just like a foot or two from a road where it was a road that, once was a little country road, and now the cars are speeding by at 60 miles an hour, and, no crosswalks, no safety, even hearing from parents that were driving they were across a street, they were driving their child across the street instead of having them cross that street and walk. And as we all know too, we have lost several Hillsborough County students in the past several years because of the dangerous conditions around the schools. So this is an area that can never have too much focus or attention, and the improvements are saving lives. And so, anything we can do to keep moving in this direction, I think is just very important. And I appreciate the focus, the study, and also to Ms. Alden, because I know that you have very specifically brought Vision Zero and these kinds of issues to our TPO in a way that was important. And as many of us know here, but still the public don't know, and I didn't know it before I was here, that Hillsborough County quite frequently has been on their national list, number 2 in the nation for pedestrian, bicycle, car crashes, and 7 of the top 10 in the nation. And these lists change from year to year, but we've hit number 2 many, many times, with Orlando being number 1, by the way, and 7 of the top 10 being in Florida, because we just have so many design issues and so many issues that surround this when you have blistering growth and no resources to fix it and no focus on that. So I think this is just very important to just keep moving this forward.
Thank you. Any other board comments? I think, Commissioner Kemp, that was very well said.
I could point out to Ms. Vaughn, the good news is, or bad news, however you want to look at it, that Sulphur Springs was in our top 12 in our previous study. So it was pulled out of our analysis this time because Department of Transportation has already awarded some Safe Routes to School grants to help get that going. Unfortunately, it takes time to design, construct, and implement those types of grants. So you should be seeing a difference made in Sulphur Springs.
Okay, can we have a motion to accept the report?
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Kemp, seconded by Councilman Citro. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? All right, thank you very much. We have one status report this morning. It is a bylaws amendment for the Citizens Advisory Committee. Johnny Wong from TBO staff is going to present this item.
Present very quickly, 3 minutes, time me. Johnny Wong, TPO staff. I'm the liaison to the CAC committee, and I'm here to brief you on some potential changes, and unless there are any objections today, we'll be bringing this back to you next month for a bylaws amendment. So for the better part of a year, the CAC and TPO staff have been exploring ways that we can hear from new voices on our committee. We noticed that we have a deficit of voices, especially from unincorporated Hillsborough County, but also some disadvantaged neighborhoods across the city of Tampa. Next slide, please. The current structure of the CAC is 23 seats, 16 are nominated by TPO board members, and several years ago, when we were exploring ways to increase that diversity of perspectives, we decided to reserve some seats for specific demographic groups. So we have 6 seats reserved currently at large, 1 for African Americans, 1 for Latino, Latina, 1 for those under the age of 30, 1 for neighborhoods, 1 for the business community, and 1 for women. Since that change was made, it's been working out okay, good but not great, and so we're currently exploring ways that we can continue to improve representation. Next slide, please. So since that action several years ago, the TPO approved the non-discrimination and equity plan. Within that plan, there were some recommendations coming out of it for ways to enhance our geographic and demographic representation. In our review on this slide, you can actually see that most of our members are coming from right up and down that I-275 corridor. There's a lot of underrepresented parts of the county, New Tampa, East Tampa, further south, Apollo Beach. They don't have representation, and if there is any, it's somewhat limited. Next slide, please. There's also huge gaps in our demographic representation. Our goal here is to, as closely as possible, match the representation of the county at large. And in doing surveys with our members, we see that low-income households are significantly underrepresented, Hispanic community significantly underrepresented, and somewhat underrepresented are women and persons between the age of 45 and 64. That's according to census data, by the way. Next slide, please. And so in preparing these proposals to you all, we're considering guidance from a number of sources. Federal and state guidance guides us to have a cross-section of the county represented on the CAC. There were the recommendations from the non-discrimination and equity plan, which I already mentioned. We've done surveys with the general public. A couple months back, this board actually advised us to add seats to provide a more diverse sample of perspectives. And again, those conversations with the current CAC members have been going on for almost a year. Next slide, please. So the proposed new structure is to have 20 at-large seats reserved to help us hit our mark and ensure that we have demographic and geographic representation. Those 20 seats would be in addition to 1 appointee made by each of you TPO board members. The at-large seats would be filled by applicants from the county. We're going to do targeted outreach based on an annual review of demographic and geographic representation. And so every year, as part of a recurring conversation, we'll identify where we have deficiencies, and then based on that data, use that targeted outreach, hoping that we get applicants hitting those demographic and geographic profiles that we want to achieve. The second change to the proposed new structure is that we're reconciling some disparities in term limits. So from now on, All unelected TPO board members and at-large members would serve 3 two-year terms. Elected board members, your appointees to the CAC, would serve consistent with your term. So however long you're sitting on this board, they would remain. Next slide, please. Our belief is that with those proposed changes, coupled with some changes that have already been adopted, will improve our access and improve participation in this very important forum. Some of the actions that the TPO and CAC already made earlier in the year are to move that meeting start time back to 6 p.m. We've heard from a lot of folks that 9 a.m. is just not doable on a Wednesday. So we switched that meeting time. We are having hybrid meetings, virtual and in-person participation, and then twice a year we're having optional meetings hosted at different locations around the county, exposing our members to some of the different issues that parts of our county face. Next slide, please. The annual review process, I wanted to take a little bit of time to detail this out. I'll bring it back to you all in January with more specifics, but to track our performance for how closely we're matching the county's geographic and demographic profile, we're going to do that annual review. It's going to just be a very short survey that we provide to all of our CAC members. Based on their responses, we'll produce some demographic bar charts, geographic maps, and it'll be very easy to identify any underrepresented groups there are in underrepresented parts of the county. And again, we're going to use that information to target our outreach to get new applicants. And all of those applicants will then be approved by the TPO board during your regular meeting time. Next slide, please. We're not asking you to take any action today. When we amend the bylaws, it requires a first reading, like a status report, what I'm providing you today. Unless there are any objections that I hear now, we'll bring this back in January, and then that'll be an action where you all can approve it formally. I'll take any questions you have.
Any questions or comments from board members? Mr. Klug.
I have a question with the membership. Do you have any problems with obtaining a quorum as far as the number of people? I know there was in the past, there have been quorum issues. If you're expanding it from 20, looks like perhaps to 36 or 39 members, would that be a quorum issue?
We don't foresee that there will be a quorum issue. Our committee actually approved maintaining it at 7, despite however large the committee gets following these proposed changes. So that action was approved, I think, 2 months ago. And we're actually exploring to see if we can reduce that number to achieve a quorum to 5, since we're anticipating that a lot of the attendees will be doing so virtually because the meeting's starting kind of late, and we're seeking people in South County that might have a hard time traveling. We're seeing if we can reduce that number to 5 in the future, but we haven't formally discussed that with the CAC yet.
Commissioner?
Chair, I support them needing to grow it how they see fit, approving virtual meetings, because traveling Hillsborough County is just, unpleasant and unachievable. But I would suggest caution in increasing the members, maintaining the current quorum, and then even aggressively so trying to reduce that, because that's where you can run into an odd situation of minorities potentially controlling a big group of people.
Okay. Duly noted. Thank you.
And you said for elected official appointments, if they don't come back, basically those members would just automatically fall off.
Yeah, that's no different from status quo.
That's what I was thinking.
That's how it's run now. But in the past, we've had a 2-year check-in period.
Okay.
So what happens is when you appoint your nominee to the CAC and they're representing you, at the end of that 2-year term, we'd reach out to you and ask if you want to reappoint that person. Most of the time, the answer is yes. But now we'll just maintain that, and you let us know if you would like to replace your appointee for whatever reason.
Okay, good. Well, mine are from South and East County. Good luck with them.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for your comments. Ms. Alden.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, board members. I have a couple of items to bring to your attention. One is that there is a copy of your quarterly report from the TPO staff in the email that your administrative assistant sent out last night. That covers all of the studies that we have ongoing. You saw 2 of them presented today as we were wrapping them up. There will be others coming your way. If you have questions at any time about any of the studies that are ongoing, I'd be happy to schedule some time to talk with you one-on-one or have the project team talk with you about that. One piece of good news since we last met is that we got word from the US EPA that the TPO has been selected for a grant award under the Community Air Pollution Monitoring Program, and that is to expand the pilot project that we've been working on the last year or so. It's a pilot program that uses new technology. It's low-cost air quality monitors that we've been placing in communities in partnership with community groups along major roadways to look at transportation-related air pollution and how that moves through our community. It gives us a more granular set of data about transportation-related emissions. The project is in cooperation with the Hillsborough County Environmental Protection Commission, and the analysis will be done by the USF College of Public Health. We just have, I think, 4 monitors out under our pilot program, so we're excited that we can now, once the grant is finally in place, expand that to a lot more communities across our county. Last Friday, we had our regional meeting of the Suncoast Transportation Planning Alliance with the other MPOs in the region. The Suncoast Transportation Planning Alliance covers all the way from Sarasota up to Citrus and Pinellas to Polk. Last Friday, the group focused on priorities for major projects. So these are big ticket items that would be the topic of advocacy, such as outreach to our legislative delegation, outreach to our federal representatives, when our local governments go after like major discretionary grant programs for key projects. We brought forward a couple of projects from your priority list, the one from our TIP hearing last summer, and that is phase 3 of the West Shore Interchange, which we understand DOT is working on moving into our 5-year transportation improvement program, but just making sure that that stays on the radar screen as a topic of shared advocacy. It's strategic to the region. We also brought forward the I-75 Gibsonton Drive interchange that's been on our priority list for some time. Our top transit priority that this board has discussed is the HART Heavy Maintenance Facility that HART has been working on grant applications for, and our TPO is one of the financial partners for that to put that financial package together. We brought that to the region. The heavy maintenance facility is equally important to regional transit as it is to local transit. We can't run express buses that connect our adjacent counties unless we have a place for those buses to be maintained. Our neighbors in Pinellas and Pasco did not support that request and did not add it to the priority list. And we also have discussion from Pasco MPO in particular of interest in merging the 3 MPOs, coming back to that topic. That was a topic of a major study by T. Barta 3 years ago now. And Pasco would like to have an equal share of representatives on a shared MPO board with Hillsborough, with Pinellas, using a model similar to Tampa Bay Water, perhaps. There was action simply to bring this back for further discussion at the regional meeting in March. And so I'd like to spend some time on our regional planning process with you all at an upcoming policy committee, so we can kind of take stock of where we've been, where we are, where you're going, and what approach you'd like to take working with our regional planning process. Also, at our last board meeting, which was in October, we talked about a possible amendment to our long-range transportation plan, looking at I-275 north of Hillsborough Avenue up to Bierce Avenue, and does the addition of 2 lanes to I-275, should that stay in our long-range transportation plan or not? There was some discussion in October that it might be more appropriate to evaluate that as part of our comprehensive update of the long-range transportation plan, which will really get underway in calendar 2024, although we're doing some building blocks for that right now. So I want to suggest to you, unless there are any objections, that we go ahead and take that approach, that we bring that back as part of your overall evaluation of the projects in the long-range transportation plan in 2024. Any objections? Okay. I also want to thank those of you who were able to come out for our tour in November of the Sunrunner Bus Rapid Transit. That is a project that just opened by PSTA. It connects downtown St. Petersburg over to the beaches. It has cut in half the travel time to get by transit from downtown St. Pete to the beaches, and at that PSTA bus hub right off of I-275 provides the opportunity for regional connections to Hillsborough, to Tampa International Airport. I think it's a significant project for us to keep an eye on because it's a project that was put forward after the residents of Pinellas County did not approve the Greenlight Pinellas referendum. So this is it's an incremental investment, and it builds on existing high transit ridership in that corridor, implemented through a collaboration between PSTA, Florida DOT, and City of St. Petersburg. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention is our next meeting will be Wednesday, January 11th. Our policy committee meeting at 8:30 a.m. I'd like to use that time to focus on our safety steps that are being taken by our local governments to bring our crash rates down. It'll give us some time to do kind of a deeper dive on that, leading into our February action to set performance targets for calendar 2023 for crash reduction. Any questions?
Thank you. Is there any old or new business? Secretary Gwynn.
Yes, Mr. Chair, just real quickly, I have a question and a request. So recently we were contacted, our staff was contacted by Federal Highway Administration regarding 2 grants in our region for the Connect grant program. One was submitted by the city of Tampa, I believe, and it was for the project that was presented to the TPO board, I believe it was a couple months ago, for Ashley, and it's reconnecting some of the area down there, and the board supported that. The city did a good job working with us ahead of time to talk about the impacts to our facilities and so forth. We were also advised of a second grant that we had not been conferred with and we were not aware of. And in talking with some of the board members, I'm not sure that other board members were fully aware, but the TPO as an organization submitted a grant application to Connect that a major element of it was the deconstruction or tearing down of Interstate 275 north of downtown Tampa. So my question is, one, I wanted to just confirm that this board did support the submittal of that grant on behalf of the TPO. The request is in the future so that we don't get caught off guard by FHWA and we don't look bad as a region for not knowing that our own facility was the subject of a grant. I'd ask that either it be brought to the board for a vote or at least that the department be advised and provided an advance copy so we're aware that a grant application on one of our facilities has been submitted to the Federal Highway Administration. Thank you.
Ms. Alden.
Thank you. Secretary Gwynn, I sincerely apologize if you weren't aware of the grant application. It was discussed at our board meeting in May. It's been discussed several times by our board over previous years. Every year that we have updated our Unified Planning Work Program for the last 3 to 4 years. This has come up as a request from our Citizens Advisory Committee. The board acted in May to direct staff that if a study looking at I-275, at alternatives for I-275, if that study is to proceed, it's going to need a new funding source. And directed staff to pursue a grant through the Reconnecting Communities pilot program. That's specifically in the presentation slides that we brought to the board that I have provided to your staff as well. So I'm sorry if there was any confusion about that. The grant application that our staff provided, and I believe you've also been given a copy of this application, does not say that we would pursue tearing down I-275. What it says is that I-275 has impacted the communities on both sides of I-275, and that there are opportunities to better reconnect those communities, and broader outreach needs to be conducted over how to resolve this longstanding issue. I-275, if it were built today, it would be built to much higher design standards. But this is a legacy highway. You all have been working very hard to bring it up to standards. That's under construction now, south of Hillsborough
Chair,
Avenue.
point of order.
Mr., can we just allow the?
Yeah, just right now, it seems like, it seems that she's speaking for the board when it seems like something was done behind the board's back. So I want to make sure that we're not getting a testimony as a voice of the board, that's all.
Well, yeah, no, I understand, but I think as a result of the fact that this is really just the discussion segment of the meeting, it's best to air this publicly, and if there are questions about any of the statements are being made, you'll have ample opportunity to weigh in. Anyway, why don't you go ahead and finish, and then we can open this up for discussion, or if Secretary Gwynn wants to respond. I just, let's get everything out on the table, and then we'll move forward. Go ahead.
Sure. So the Reconnecting Communities pilot program is designed to support funding for like mitigation strategies along major transportation facilities that have had this kind of impact. And I mentioned that, so there are in the publications on the Federal Highway website, a lot of strategies how you make better connections. So improved walk and bike connections, for example, on the cross streets across I-275, buffering, edge parks. These are things that if they came out of a community visioning process, we could potentially then assist the community in applying for a follow-up grant to actually build some of those edge treatments. This is happening in other major cities in the country. So it is a visioning study that we applied for funding for, and the direction from the board was to move forward with a grant application to follow up on the CAC's request.
If I could just respond quickly, and I don't know who in the staff, all my senior staff I talked to, none of them knew about it. I don't disagree that somewhere in the UPWP there was something about this, we could look for future funding opportunities. The thing that we're more concerned about was, one, I mean, I won't ask anybody for raise of hands, but I didn't talk to any board members that knew that this was actually submitted on behalf of the TPO. Maybe there were, and I didn't talk to everybody by any means. But the other part of it is that between May, when that decision was made to look for opportunities, and when the grant was applied for, we were not given an advance copy of the grant. We were not. It's our road. And so we have a say in it. And I felt kind of embarrassed with the FHWA to have to say, no, we weren't coordinated with, we don't know. The other thing is competing with the other grant that this board supported with a vote. I'm not saying that these grants should or should not be submitted. All I'm asking is bring us into the process more actively. Let us know, and then I would ask that perhaps before a federal grant gets applied, that this board take a vote on it and just support it or not, because there's not that many grants out there. There's more than there used to be, and we're competing for them. And if we look like we're not coordinating, we're not going to do well.
I think that's Commissioner Myers, and go ahead.
Going forward, if we can just do a courtesy to the secretary to let him know that an action item will be coming, and either he can have his staff here or he can be here, and they will be well informed of what's going on. Thank you.
Commissioner Wastel.
Chair, I think the question is that it was never an action item on an agenda. I see grants at the end of, at the very bottom under correspondence, and forgive my ignorance for being new, for us having clear information of us applying for some grant to Pete Buttigieg. I don't know what they're for. I don't even know that I would support them. So the question is the CAC is simply an advisory committee. They have absolutely no power to make decisions, correct?
Correct.
The board has the power to make decisions. So to point the finger that the direction was received by the advisory committee is highly irregular.
Well, if I remember correctly, the advisory committee made the recommendation to this board in an open and public meeting where this was all discussed. It's not like they made the recommendation and somehow the grant, the discussion there was no discussion here about it. Let me just say this on this topic so that we can, I think it's important for people that are coming on board here. There have been discussions over the years. It has come up through various citizens group, this idea of tearing down 275. This board has been receptive to listening and has also been very sympathetic to any kind of strategies to reconnect the community. But we did take action this year very clearly to authorize the rebuilding of the interchange in downtown. After many, many years of study, we actually voted to rebuild that interchange, and we take votes on a regular basis about how we're going to maintain and or expand or not expand 275. But all of those votes are taken sort of on the premise that 275 is there. We have a lot of discussions about noise walls, for example. But there really, there has not been any discussion here about tearing down I-275. You know, I think that my understanding of this, when Ms. Alden was asked about it in the joint, she was asked about it in the joint MPO meeting of all the counties, was that this grant really would be aimed at all kinds of other things that could be done, particularly connecting streets underneath the expressway. That's sort of my understanding of it.
Can the secretary, you said that it's the grant.
I would just encourage the board members, if you're interested, read the grant. The first thing in the mobility section talks about tearing down the interstate.
Okay, thank you. So it does. So the
Well,
grant.
it doesn't say that that would be the result. What it says is that's something that this study would investigate, which I know there's been a small group of people who have been very adamant about wanting to tear down the interstate, but we've been going through this thing for a long time, and I think we've gotten past that now. We took express lanes off of that section. We agreed not to go outside our existing right-of-way. But every time we throw this back in the mix, it just restarts that whole discussion. But that really wasn't my point. My point was more, I would have rather been more prepared when FHWA called me to know that whether I could answer, does the TPO board approve, did they approve it? And also, what do we think about it? And in both of those, all we could answer was, well, we really don't know. They did not give us an advance copy to review.
Yes, Mayor.
Just want to point out that I do vividly recall during a debrief having a discussion with Ms. Alden, so I know that this should not be a surprise to anybody on the board. At least it's not for me. I know we did talk about it. I'm certainly would not be in support of tearing down the interstate if that's part of the, I don't know that I knew that was part of this analysis. If that's the case, I think that's not money well spent, but I do completely support evaluating And that's the whole purpose of this grant, right, is the interconnectivity, and that's part of, dollars that were made available from Congress for these types of studies and connecting, those areas. So I think that's important to look at. So I understand, and I think it does make sense that we were trying to go after those dollars because it just wasn't something that was in the budget for us to move anywhere else with. And that's the whole reason why the grant came forward, is because it's been something that's been on the table for years, unfunded, unable to look at. So I don't believe that there was anything nefarious involved, and points well taken that there just needs to be better communication on those items.
Yes, Mayor Ross.
I'd just like to make a simple request. I recall the discussion, but I've never seen the actual grant application. Could we get that sent to the TPO board members, please, so we can all take a look at it? Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else for the good of the order? If not, I want to congratulate again our new chairwoman, Commissioner Myers, and our vice chair, Mayor Ross, and we will see you in January.